Hi guys, so Boris Johnson was delivering his briefing on the pandemic on Wednesday. Now, he was asked a question by a journalist from The Mirror, and his response was, well, controversial. Let's hear what he had to say.
The Mirror.
Hi, Prime Minister. A couple of quick ones for you. First of all, you didn't really answer Laura's question about summer holidays, so I thought I'd let you have another go. There's a bit of confusion between your ministers about whether people should book summer holidays. You said fairly recently that you were optimistic about it. Is your family planning to get away this summer, and what's your message for members of the public who are desperate to get away from all this? And secondly, in July last year, government scientists told you that what their prediction of the worst-case scenario was for the spread of the virus in the run-up to winter. Newly released documents that the government held back for 6 months show they also told you that the worst-case scenario was avoidable if you followed their advice. They suggested you not rush to reopen schools and universities, that you not plan to relax rules over Christmas, and that you keep people working from home wherever possible. And in each of those cases, you did not follow that advice, only to reverse course when it made things worse. And by November, before the new variants emerged, we were in the worst-case scenario that was predicted in July. 2 weeks ago, you stood on that spot and you told grieving families you'd done everything you could. But don't these documents suggest that that isn't true?
Mikey, first of all, on your question about the summer holidays, I'd really repeat what I said to Laura. I'm afraid it is just too early for people to be certain about what we'll be able to do this summer. And
actually, about summer holidays, I think you just say to people, look, not this year. I'm sorry. We haven't dealt with this pandemic enough yet. There are people coming in from other countries. There's a risk that, we could have checks or whatever in place here in the UK, but if people travel to other parts of the world and then come back, there's a real risk that they would exacerbate the situation. It would make more sense. Look, just be honest with people. Say, look, we can't know at this stage, but it's better not to book. Unfortunately, 2021 will have to be cancelled in a sense when it comes to holidays until we have the vaccine completely rolled out, until we have the spread of the pandemic completely under control.
And we hope to be able to say more in the week of the 22nd, as I've said, when more data comes in, more crucial data about the rollout of the vaccine programme and how it's working on us all, Mikey. So I'm afraid I understand why people want to make plans now, but we're just going to have to be a bit more patient. And on your second point, well, there's been scientific advice of all kinds throughout the pandemic. And what I can tell you is that as soon as we became aware of the new variant on the 18th of December, which substantially changed the position, we acted decisively in the way that we did. But there have been scientists who have called for no lockdown, scientists who have called for a complete lockdown.
What are you talking about, Boris Johnson? There were scientists calling for no lockdown. I find that difficult to believe. And there were scientists calling for a complete lockdown. Why is Boris Johnson presenting two completely different positions here? He can't... Look, he receives a... Look, this is not Boris Johnson going into some sort of committee and there's a group of scientists who are saying, well, I think you should lock down. And somebody else saying, no, I don't think you should lock down. And then Boris Johnson, tosses a coin and says, well, he won, so we won't go into a lockdown. They provide advice. They work as a committee. They work as a group. And then they provide advice to the Prime Minister. And their advice is not... Some of us believe you should lock down and some of us believe you shouldn't. And then Boris Johnson goes with his gut. That's not how it works. They provide him scientific advice. Then he decides whether to follow that advice or not to. And that's the problem. The scientists have been giving him advice such as you need to go into a lockdown. Boris Johnson has rejected that advice. saying we don't need to go into a lockdown, or we can go into a tiered system instead. That's the problem. It's not the scientific advice that was the problem. Now, Boris Johnson tends to say stupid things from time to time, and this could be one of them, but he's the Prime Minister. When he says things, they stick. People listen to him. That's why he's doing a bloody conference here. You can't say that the scientists were telling you, yes, go into a lockdown, and other scientists were saying, no, we don't go into a lockdown, and then Boris Johnson had to, choose between the two. Once again, that's not how scientific advice works. They work together in a community, in a group, in a committee, and then they provide their advice to the government. It's the government's responsibility to act on that advice. Now, of course, the government have to balance that advice with other issues, whether, the economy or public safety or things like that. But they don't. This is absurd. Now, whether Boris Johnson is saying this because he has lost his marbles, I don't know. Whether he's saying it just to deflect blame, I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of both. But this is extremely concerning because Boris Johnson represents the government. The scientists, SAGE, don't give him conflicting advice. If they were, then they should be fired. Because then that's, imagine you, I don't even know where to go with this. It's so absurd. I'm completely sure that this did not happen. That SAGE came forward and said, you should do this or you should do this. They will give him options, but they will not be go 100 kilometers, 100 miles an hour in this direction or go 100 miles an hour in this direction. That's not how the advice works.
Throughout, they've been brutally difficult decisions, and we have done our best, as I've said before, to take all our decisions in the interests of public health and protecting the public. Mesa Hall.
Wow, he's very confused. He was off script, and I think he realized that he was off script. I think he realized that, oops, I said something stupid. And you can see in his mind, let me just show you again, because you can see how he reacted to it.
For a complete lockdown throughout, they've been brutally difficult decisions, and we have done our best, as I've said before, to take all our decisions in the interests of public health and protecting the public. Mesa Hall.
Okay, yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He understands that I've said something really stupid, and now I'm trying to backpedal, but I can't backpedal here. This is not Parliament. I can't attack the journalist, or I can't attack the other side. I've said since the beginning, Boris Johnson and the government, when things go wrong, they will find someone to blame. They will blame the public, they will blame the opposition, they will blame the European Union, they will blame the scientists. They will never point the finger at themselves. And unfortunately, this is another example of that. But it is concerning that he's saying that the scientists were giving him conflicting advice. No, they were not giving him conflicting advice. What he's doing is he's trying to deflect blame from himself onto the scientists, which is disgusting and disgraceful, because these people are providing him expert advice and he's attempting to throw them under a bus. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?